So what happens when a whole belief system just goes completely off the rails? Today, we're diving into a story of a spiritual crisis that really shook a faith right to its core. We're going to trace the intellectual roots of a catastrophe, following a trail of ideas that led to a totally unexpected and, for many, a truly devastating outcome.
And here it is, the central, shocking event that everything hinges on. In 1666, a man named Sabbatai Zevi, who thousands of people believed was the long-awaited Messiah, converted to Islam. Think about that for a second. This wasn't just a failure, it was a complete 180, an inversion of everything his followers believed, a truly mind-bending moment in history.
So the obvious question is, how on earth does something like this happen? How do you get from this incredible messianic hope to the Messiah himself converting to a different religion? Well, the analysis we're exploring today suggests the answer isn't just about the man himself, but about the ideas that were sweeping through his world. And to understand that, we've got to go back in time a bit.
Our investigation really kicks off with a hugely influential mystical text called the Zohar.
It all started with a number. You see, a specific prediction was found in the Zohar, which is a foundational text of Jewish mysticism, or Kabbalah. It basically foretold that the Messiah would show up right around the year 1648. I mean, you can just imagine how this lit a fire of expectation across the Jewish world. People were ready.
And this created the absolute perfect environment for a figure like Sabbatai Zevi to emerge. He was a mystic, someone deeply, deeply immersed in the Zohar. So when he appeared on the scene, people were already primed by this prophecy to see him as the one. It's like the stage was already set for him, and his joyous acceptance was almost inevitable.
But that raises another question, right? How did the Zohar get to be so important in the first place? Well, its status was really cemented about a century earlier by one incredibly influential mystic in the city of Safed.
Meet Rabbi Isaac Luria, known as the Ari, which means the lion. This guy was a total game changer in the world of Kabbalah. He claimed to get revelations directly from the prophet Elijah and even to attend a heavenly school. And, most important for our story, his teachings are what lifted the Zohar to this position of supreme, almost untouchable importance.
And the Ari's influence came with some, let's say, unusual practices. Accounts from his students talk about things like ornithomancy, which is telling the future by watching the flight of birds, and pyromancy, reading the future in flames. These were deeply mystical, esoteric practices that were definitely outside the mainstream rabbinic tradition of the time.
But it was the doctrine, the ideas that came from the Ari school that was truly revolutionary. It completely upended the hierarchy of what was considered valuable spiritual study.
So for centuries, the absolute bedrock of Jewish intellectual life was something called the revealed Torah. This means the study of traditional, rational, legal texts like the Talmud. For ages, this was the undisputed core of religious learning.
And then came this, a theological bombshell attributed to the Ari school through his top student, Rabbi Chaim Vital. The claim, basically, was that a person gets no heavenly reward, no reward in the world to come, for studying the Talmud, the revealed Torah. I mean, this was a radical, absolutely shocking devaluation of centuries of tradition.
Just look at the new hierarchy this created. On one side, you have the Talmud, the revealed Torah. It's now seen as only giving you earthly rewards like riches and honor. It's demoted, called a maidservant. But on the other side, you have Kabbalah, the secret Torah. And that is what gives you a reward in the next world. It's now the true matron of the house, a complete and total reversal of what had been valued for so long.
So let's just trace that path for a second. The Zohar shows up in the 13th century. Then, in 1570, the Ari arrives in Safed and makes it the must-read text, introducing this whole new hierarchy of study. About a century later, 1648, the messianic prediction comes due, fueling this unbelievable fervor. And then, finally in 1666, the Messiah produced by all this Zoharic excitement, Sabbatai Zevi, converts to Islam. When you lay it out, you can see a clear intellectual line leading right to the crisis.
So, what happens when your Messiah converts? Well, for the true believers, the craziest part is that the very system that created all the excitement also provided a shocking justification for the failure. This is where reality gets completely twisted. On one hand, you have the obvious truth. The conversion is a betrayal, a total failure. But the Kabbalistic justification, which was rooted in the Ari's teachings, claimed it was actually a necessary holy sin. The argument was that the Messiah had to descend into the husks of impurity to rescue the final trapped sparks of holiness. Failure was literally reframed as the ultimate mystical victory.
So let's put all the pieces together. The analysis here presents a really clear chain of consequence. It's a powerful story about how ideas can shape reality.
Here's the whole process, laid out step by step. First, you get a prediction from a mystical text. Second, that text gets elevated above everything else. Third, this creates mass fervor. Fourth, you get the apostasy, the crisis. And finally, number 5, the system is so powerful that it's used to justify its own catastrophic failure. It's a complete intellectual capture of its followers.
And that leaves us with a final, really crucial question. What happens when any system of thought, any ideology, becomes so airtight, so all-encompassing that it can rationalize even its biggest failures? This historical episode isn't just about the past. It's a powerful case study of how ideas can build and sometimes completely deconstruct our reality.